Hello, I hope this video finds you well and that you're somewhere warm and snuggly. Where I am, it's a dark, rainy day, and it's kind of a perfect day to just sit in and hang out with my friends on YouTube and talk a little bit of tarot. Today, I wanted to share with you a little bit of advice maybe, or just some of my experience from reading the cards for the past 16 years. With a question that will come up from time to time from clients or people coming to you for a reading, which is, what is your opinion on tarot and religion, or tarot and God? We have to remember that our clients come from all different faiths, and some of them are getting a reading against what might be considered appropriate in their faith. So they could come to you, with a little bit of nervousness or uncertainty, and it's our job as tarot readers to make sure that our clients are comfortable and feel safe. So if someone comes to you and asks you about tarot and God, I wanted to share with you how I approach that question. We all kind of create our own script, or whatever that word is. We all have our own way of answering things, but I thought it would be helpful maybe just to share kind of how I approach it. So the first thing that I would tell someone who asks me about tarot and God is that I would let them know that, in my opinion, and of course this whole thing is just my opinion, and I just realized it kind of looks like I'm naked, but I assure you I'm not. It's a very inappropriate look for a video about God, I suppose, but anyways, how I would approach it if someone asked me about my opinion on tarot and God or religion is that the tarot doesn't really belong to any faith. Obviously, there are a lot of pagans and magical people who have embraced the tarot cards, probably more than mainstream Christians, for example, but that doesn't mean that tarot cards belong to pagans and witches. As much as I would like to say they are only our babies, they're not. They belong to everybody. They also include a number of different faiths. Again, in my opinion and my understanding of the tarot, I'm mostly referring to the Rider-Waite deck, by the way. I probably should tell you that. But that deck specifically does feature different faiths, in my opinion, and it kind of represents a little bit of everyone. I think that when a client comes to you, their personal faith shouldn't really impact the reading. I think that the cards are always tailored to that person getting the reading. So if I had a lady who worshipped the goddess in front of me, I'm sure, and she was asking about her spirituality, I wouldn't be surprised if the High Priestess showed up, for example, or the Empress, or the Three of Cups, or different really strong feminine, divine kind of cards. It's the same as someone who came to me who is Christian or Catholic, for example. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ace of Cups showed up with its really strong Virgin Mary undertones. We have the womb of the Virgin Mother receiving the host from the Holy Spirit and the birth of Christ, the conception of Christ. So there are cards that would make sense for all kinds of different people. So I just don't worry about that. And I would let people know, I don't worry about that. I also think that there is a misconception sometimes with people who come for readings, or just the public in general, who don't know where this ability comes from. Some people think, are you sacrificing virgins? Are you channeling demonic spirits or working with the devil? And the honest truth is that I would think most of us, we just have this innate ability and want to help people and find that means and that medium through the tarot cards, and that we're able to interpret the symbols and the colors and numbers and all of that awesome stuff that we see in the tarot. And that energy doesn't come from a dark place. I don't think that the devil really cares what we're doing, if there is such a being. I think that there are so many more exciting things. If I was the devil, for example, I would much rather hang out with like a diamond thief, or a something a little scandalous, something with a little bit more action than just the tarot reader who's reading some cards from her living room on a Saturday night. That's just me, however. So anyways, I I would approach it like that. I would approach it like, you know what? It's not about channeling all this dark energy. That's something that as society, we have created this narrative that these abilities and psychic gifts or the ability to interpret cards comes from some demonic or dark place, and that's just not the truth of it. I think that most of us do this from a very positive place and from a place of wanting to really help people. So express that to that client who might be a little bit nervous. Let them know you're doing this from a positive soul place. You're doing this out of, in some ways, it's a sacrifice of our time and our talent and our skill, but we do it to help people because we want to. We want to bring something positive. And I find with the cards, in all honesty, the message is always usually pretty positive. Like, yeah, there are cards that are dark and scary, but it's how we interpret them. And life is dark and scary. And that's what makes it worthwhile. That's where we learn. That's where we grow. So I don't think that the tarot is out to really scare anyone or make them feel bad about their faith. I think that it's more about how you interpret those cards as a reader and how the person coming to you for a reading interprets the images that they see. It's okay if they see the Virgin Mary in the cards. It's okay if they see the goddess, if they see God or, you know, what have you, or just a natural energy. That's fine. That's what we want. And then on the other side of it, we have to look at people who don't have a faith, who don't believe in anything, and our atheist friends. And that's totally cool too, because it's okay if someone's coming for a reading for entertainment. That's okay too. It's not always spiritual for some people. For some people, they're curious, or they want to just do something that's different, or do something that they can go to work the next day and say, listen, this is this crazy thing I did. I met with this Tasha and she was nuts and blah, blah, blah. That's okay. That's okay. Because if you're charging people, you're making money, they're giving you something. There's a fair exchange there. So if someone wants to come for an entertaining reading, just to see, just maybe to open their mind, that's okay. I used to take offense to that when I first started reading, when I had people who would come who weren't taking it seriously. And they weren't rude or anything, but they're just, you know, it's not a spiritual thing for them. And when it's a spiritual thing for you, as a reader, you can it can be off-putting. And then I realized it's okay if someone wants to just use the cards as a means of entertainment, especially considering when the cards were first invented, they were used as entertainment. People used to use the pictures on them to tell stories and make up poems and to create kind of narratives and things like that. So that's okay too. That's all right if someone wants to do that, if someone just wants to have the fun of a reading. Take your own spirituality and hold that inside yourself. It still can be spiritual for you, but it doesn't matter if the person getting the reading just wants to have some fun. Don't let that bother you. And I think the more in tune with your cards and the more deeper that you fall in love with your cards, it'll just roll off you anyway. I made some notes, and because I didn't want to miss anything. But I think that I covered a lot of what I wanted to say. Just remember, tarot's outside of religion. So if you're someone who's interested in getting a tarot reading and you're curious and you feel really good about that, I don't think that that's a wrong thing to feel or to explore. Of course, I don't speak for you, and I can only speak for myself, and what I may think is okay may not be okay to another person. I'm not making this video to offend anyone or to try to convince anyone that, oh, tarot, if you really feel like it's not for you, it's not for you. That's fine. Everybody has their thing. Everybody has their way to connect with spirit if they so wish. And if tarot is just simply not for you, that's 100% okay. But if it is for you, consider exploring it. Just consider what kind of doorway it could open for you to connect with your divine spirit or divine power. I also have a couple of cards that I pulled out that I just wanted to share that I find really share that religious theme and can kind of connect all different people. So I pulled some of my favorite cards with Christian imagery, which we talked about the Ace of Cups. So I really love that. As someone who does worship the Virgin Mother, this card is really special to me. And then we have the Hierophant, or the Pope. And in other tarot decks back in the day, the High Priestess was also sometimes called the Popess. So there's very Christian imagery there. There's also imagery from Judaism in the High Priestess. We have the Torah here, since that is the sacred writing of those who follow the Jewish path. So there's all kinds of faiths being represented. We have angels and devils in the tarot deck. So for some Christian folks who come for readings, getting an angel is really, really nice. So there's all kinds of ways we can all connect together through this means. And of course we have the resurrection here, the resurrection of the body. And then our old friend, old Nick here. This one's kind of scary for some folks, but I really, really think that we all do have a little bit of a dark side to ourselves, and the tarot can sometimes make us feel a little uncomfortable, and I think that can be a good thing. And then for our witches out there, I always see this card as women, and men of course too, but people, I see this as folks celebrating under the moonlight or celebrating the harvest and magical feminine power, and it's just very witchy to me. So I can find imagery in here that even relates to my own faith and my own practices. So you really can. The tarot is always open for interpretation. I really hope, I keep dropping things today. I really, really hope that this video helps you and opens you up to how you can approach questions like, I don't know how God feels about tarot, or tarot and religion or faith. I hope that maybe I have given you some ideas, something to work with. And thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon and spending some time. And good luck with your tarot adventures. And we will talk more. Bye.